We're a leader, we're supposed to know the way, we're supposed to have the vision, we're supposed to not doubt anything. But that's actually not true. We're human just like the people that we're leading. My name is Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net. My main thing is help you as a side hustler, a solopreneur, or otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. Today we're going to talk about the strongest words leaders can use. It's only 3 words, and it's from one of the masters of emotional intelligence, Brene Brown. In her book, Rising Strong, my personal favorite of hers, she talks about what leadership really means if we're going to be thoughtful and if we're going to be deliberate as far as what kind of impact we want to make, what kind of culture we want to make. If you know my work at all, been watching the show, you know I really care about culture. Here's what she says. We're wired for story. In the absence of data, we will rely on confabulations and conspiracies. More information means less fear-based storytelling. In other words, if you don't know that much, all of us, we tend to fill in the blanks, and it's usually filled in with things that we fear. That's what she's saying. The 3 best words that a leader could say is, I don't know. When you say, I don't know, though, you're not trying to fill in the blanks. You're not projecting your own issues and fears into what the data that you're actually giving to the people that you're leading. And you're also not giving space for the people that you're leading to actually worry about things in the sense of, I think it's this and that, I think it's this and that. There's a few ways that you can actually say, I don't know, without saying, I don't know. Number 1, let's reassess things when we have more information. This, particularly if you say, let's reassess things when we have more information, that's bringing them into the conversation. One of the challenges that I've had as a leader is getting people to actually feel like they have skin in the game, feel like that they have ownership, even as far as a family, which you can probably hear in the background, having them come together and say, I'm invested in this. Have my kids say, yes, I'm investing in this. As you say, let's reassess things when we have more information, then they're going to be on the hunt for more information. They'll be able to say, oh yeah, if I have a little bit more information, then maybe we can make a decision. It's also the acknowledgement that we don't know everything. And that's kind of a dangerous thing that people traditionally say in regards to leadership. If we're a leader, we're supposed to know the way, we're supposed to have the vision, we're supposed to not doubt anything. But that's actually not true. We're human just like the people that we're leading. And in that case, it might be better to be honest and upfront about that, which is what Brene is getting at. So if you say, let's reassess things when we have more information, you're basically saying, let's not make a decision right now. It alleviates some of the pressure. And by you saying we, it actually gets all of them ideally involved. If they don't want to be involved, there might be some other issues at play, and this could help bring that up. Number 2, it is best for us to make a list of what we know right now and the assumptions of what we're making right now. This is beautiful because it cuts away the fear-based thinking. If we're saying, all right, if we make this decision, then our company is going to go bankrupt. All right, there's very few decisions that are going to sink your company, right? But if you end up writing down what we know versus what we are assuming, maybe it'll end up setting back our company for a quarter. Maybe we'll have to be nickel and diming a little bit more and scrimping to get through this rough patch. Maybe there's some concrete lessons we can learn if we take this risk. But the assumption that we're going to go bankrupt and we'll all be homeless and the company's going to close if we make this decision, there might be some fear in that. By making the list, you're basically saying, this is what we know. We know that this is a risk. We know that our customers might not like it. We know that our employees might not feel the direction we're going. But we also know that it fits the vision. We know that we need to change. We know that the way that we're doing things isn't working. Those are also things we know too. What we're assuming is that this is going to cause so much trouble that our company will not be able to survive. But maybe you will. As you write down these lists, it gives a sense of clarity. Because when it's all in our head, I tell my kids this all the time, if you actually write things down, if you put things down, even if you say them to each other, then there's a certain clarity that happens, because then you can hear yourself. If you write things down, you can see it. There's scientific studies that I've written about in my books where if you write things down, you're more likely to remember them and you're more likely to synthesize them. As in, you're writing down these particular lessons and you're more likely to remember them. There's serious power in that. Then you can also analyze these fears. Tim Ferriss talks about that as far as making a fear list. What is the worst case scenario? And then you figure out a way to circumvent that worst case scenario. But if it's just sitting in your head, it's emotional. Once you write it down, it becomes logical. Number 3, can we get more intel to make an informed choice? The thing is that sometimes we don't have enough information. I've written about this, and great people have talked about this at some of the TED conferences I've been to, where sometimes procrastination and that idleness, as far as you might not being able to make a decision, it's actually because you don't have enough information. We beat ourselves up so much when we procrastinate, or we're not sure how to make a decision. We feel like we should be making snap decisions. But sometimes we don't have enough information. This actually harkens back to the Johari window, which I talked about in a previous show, where it's, if you think about it like a window pane, split into four quadrants. One quadrant is the stuff that I know and the stuff that everyone else knows. This quadrant is the stuff that I know but no one else knows. For instance, there might be a fear that I have that I've shared with no one. No one else knows that. So that's this quadrant. This quadrant is the stuff that I don't see but that everyone else sees. So there might be a certain way that I smile, or a certain tell, or a certain way that I walk that is unconscious to me but everyone else sees it. And finally, this last quarter talks about the things that I don't know and no one else knows, the unknown. I bring this up, number one, because it's an excellent point as far as with the psychology of things. But number two, if you have these different quarters, this bottom half where it's stuff that everyone else knows that you don't know, and more importantly, this last quarter where it's stuff that no one knows, that might be while you're pausing. There might be something that you don't understand, something that your customers see that your leadership and yourself don't see. It might be something in the market that's not quite here yet, and a piece that's missing, an X factor. But you have to give space for that X factor. Some of the best business decisions I made were made because I got rebuffed, because of coincidence, because of a challenge, because of a resource thing, where I wasn't able to do it when I wanted to do it. And come to find out, there was this X factor, this Y factor, that totally made it much clearer what decision made the most sense. And I sure enough was going to make another decision, but luckily I had pause. So if you're thinking about making a big decision and you're not sure, sometimes the best thing is to say, I don't know. And then use these three different methods that I've talked about to talk to your leadership, even talk to yourself if you're a solopreneur, and create that dialogue so that you can put yourself at ease. If you want more insight about this, be sure and check out the playlist that I have over on this channel where I talk about Brene Brown and other things related to emotional intelligence, which is what we're talking about. There's about 10 videos on there. Each one's about 5-10 minutes, just like this one. You will get so much out of it, I promise. Feel free to subscribe if there's stuff that you're enjoying. Remember, it's always free on this channel. Until next time, remember to bring your worth and that you can always build from now. Take care.